This just proves why this group is beyond special, as the NHL has released their top 23 players under 23 list, and oh my goodness, the Montreal Canadiens are represented more than we could have ever imagined, while still leaving off some guys. But it's not just that. We have another quote from a former Hab who just left in Logan Mailloux about how a specific player should be in the NHL and why what separates him from so many other players. We have so much extra hype about this group that we have been talking about before, Jesse, but it has hit a whole nother level. We're going to be breaking all that down, but we also have a very important note about the goalie situation going forward, and a very big clue as to who will be officially in the NHL versus AHL. All that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But quick reminder, guys, to hit that free subscribe button, because still half of you haven't. We're almost at 22,000. You guys have been supporting like crazy. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll start with the goalies, Jesse. And first off, just wanted to highlight Samuel Montembeault for a second. We saw this come up here per Evolving Hockey, the most goals saved above expected per game. So this is a rate. Like, Monty, we knew was near the top in terms of like volume, because let's be honest, the Habs gave up over the past few years at least a lot of high danger chances. This year less, but the 2 years before a lot more. But per game over the last 3 seasons, our boy Monty is only behind Anthony Stolarz, Connor Hellebuyck, and Linus Ullmark. And just wanted to highlight this, Jesse, because I feel like, yeah, is Monty like a top 5 goalie in the league? No, I don't think you'd find many people who say he is. But I'm starting to think that, like, he's getting the short end of the stick now, especially with how Montreal's D-core has been over the last few years, still learning to play better defense. I think he is honestly a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for.
And you have to feel like it's improved defensive core. I think that we still need to find that good balance between offense and defense. It's going to be one of the better defensive cores going forward, and Monty deserves that. And that's going to make a huge difference going forward from next year, as well as having a Jakub Dobeš, a kind of proven backup behind him. I think that's not only going to help Monty, but going to help this team in some huge ways going forward. That was kind of the missing link. We kept trying to go to Primeau last year, and it just wasn't working until we brought up Dobeš, and that was a huge part of why we were able to make the playoffs. So no surprise why Jakub Dobeš is so adored by Montreal Canadiens fans across the world. And of course, like, the thing that Dobeš is also going to provide is really, again, that relief that Monty sorely needs, because he played the third most in the NHL last year behind Vasilevsky and then also Connor Hellebuyck, 2 of the premier goalies in the NHL. So you have to feel like having a backup now that they can kind of go to kind of give Monty a little bit of rest is going to do nothing but kind of improve his numbers, get Dobeš that development where I'm curious to see where that's taking him, and obviously helping the Montreal Canadiens, which is the most important.
And Dobeš's development is such a big thing, which is why, again, like Eric Raymond said, like, look, it's Jakub Dobeš's spot to lose, basically. Kakinen's great, but again, a third string, Kaapo Kähkönen, a guy who was amazing in the AHL playoffs this year, who has years of NHL experience. Like, there's so many good things here, but it is Dobeš's net, like you said, and that's so impressive to me. And again, just another one of these things that's going to go with all the stuff we're talking about later in the video. It's why this group is so special. A young goalie in Jakub Dobeš who came in and stole the backup spot, who's now the favorite to stay the backup spot ahead of a veteran in Kähkönen. And then you also have Jacob Fowler down in Laval, who's another young guy who might be trying to do the same thing very soon. So leave some love for Dobeš likely getting that backup spot and Monty stats, because look, I mean, there's still going to be some turnovers while Matheson and Dobson are both on the same team, but regardless, you're right. The D-core is improving day by day. Cannot wait to see how it fares. But talking about this team, this young core, Jesse, is one of the premier things with the Montreal Canadiens right now. Look, we all know this team is good. We just made the playoffs as the youngest team in basically history, and we're still the youngest team now this year in the entire NHL. But the Habs have more than just that going for them. The NHL released their top 23 players under age 23, and we can nitpick some of these rankings. For example, I would still have Slaf above Guhle, but fair enough. That's whatever. Matthew Nyes, I think, gets overrated a lot, but, you know, he had good stats. I get it. But Laine Hutson only behind Bedard and Celebrini, Jesse. That enough for me was like, okay, fair enough. They are Laine Hutson respecters, and that I'm okay with. Hutson at number 3, Slaf at number 10, Demidov at number 14, behind Stankoven, I don't know about that, and then Zach Bolduc even cracking this list, Jesse, and Cayden Guhle is 23 now. I'm not sure if this is 23 and under or actually under 23, but Guhle's another guy right around that age that didn't crack this, but very well could make it there. Like, again, do we need any more hints that this team's going to be special? My goodness, to have 4 guys in this list is absolutely insane. The Sharks have 3, the Mammoth have a couple, but like, other than that, Montreal stands alone in this group, and it is beyond impressive.
And we don't have to look any further than this list to see why the Montreal Canadiens are the youngest team in the modern NHL. to make the playoffs. Like, it's really proof and point. They were a good young team last year. Somehow we've managed to just improve with that even further with Bolduc. And then obviously there's a certain Ivan Demidov, which I think people are underestimating his effect. Like, the Habs were able to make the playoffs last year without Demidov being a large part of this team coming in for just the last 2 games. Demidov is going to be a revolution in terms of how he's going to help their probability of really making the playoffs. You don't want to sleep with the Habs, given what they've done, and then given that influx of current talent, and then that development kind of on top of it. And of course, we can kind of nitpick here, but obviously having Hutson ahead of Knives ahead of Michkov all day, every day, we're going to take that. At the same time, we're not resting on our laurels. We're saying that Laine Hutson, at the very least, should be number 2, dare I say even number 1 over Connor Bedard. Yes, I said it. I think that could age very well. As we see it going on with Laine Hutson, he's not stopping anytime soon. Connor Bedard took a big step back next year. We'll see how this all really kind of plays out. But Laine Hutson, it's fair to say, according to analysts, according to the Calder nominations, is a landslide victory over Macklin Celebrini. So interesting to still kind of see the rankings here of how that really kind of plays out. But again, just going forward, having Slav on this list, Demidov's going to climb up. I could see Hutson and Demidov climbing to the top of this list and holding it down until they turn 23 and kind of going forward. That's the special part, is they're very young, both these players, but how they can really impact and kind of that exponential that they'll have playing together, which a lot of other teams, they have some good players, but not so many all together. And that's what's really special is, how they'll all be able to complement each other. This young core, it's one thing to have a vision for Kent Hughes. It's another thing on just completely executing it, watching it come to life. And we're just having to stack our popcorn right now because we're going to be having exciting hockey for years to come.
Oh, I can't believe it. It's amazing, right? And even Caufield just aged out. Suzuki aged out by a couple of years. But the thing, too, is we have 4 guys on this list, and I know Bolduc is 22, and Guhle is 23, and he didn't make it, but Slav and Hutson and Demidov, Demidov has another 3-4 years on this list. Slav has at least another 2. Yeah. Hutson has another 2 or 3. And that's what's even more impressive to me. So it's insane. Again, like you said, I could maybe say I think Ivan should be higher, but I understand as well, you want a bigger sample size, whereas a lot of the guys, pretty much everyone above him actually has a lot more time in the NHL. Demidov is by far the least amount of time in the NHL of anyone on this list. So it is cool. I get it. And Bolduc at 23, yeah, amazing too. So just such amazing stuff there, but it doesn't even just stop there, right? And we're looking at, we got other young guys too, right? On the team, having 4 of the top 23 players under 23 years old on the team right now is unbelievable. But again, we still have ranked the 2nd best prospect system in the NHL. Now, some places rank Demidov in that, and Hutson, some places don't. But regardless, we still have guys like David Reinbacher, Owen Beck, Joshua Waugh, and one particular player, Jesse, that we love to talk about, Florian Xhekaj and Logan Mailloux. And gotta give credit to Logan Mailloux, still giving a lot of interviews to Montreal sources right now. He was recently on the Sick podcast, stuff like that. He seems okay with it. He had some really good responses saying he got to earn it. I wish him the best in St. Louis. But he had this great quote here about, where is it? Oh no, I don't have it there. Where's the picture? There it is. Guys, we're jumping all around because I'm so excited. I'm hitting the wrong buttons because when we're talking about Florian, that's what happens. Oh, Logan Mailloux on the Sick podcast said, I think Florian Xhekaj should be in the NHL. Straight up. Sneaky skill. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to put it for sure. And he will fight anyone. He scored 25 goals and didn't have any power play time. He was playing 4th line, 3rd, 4th line in the playoffs. That's the insane thing about a guy like Florian Xhekaj, Jesse. And we talk about the Xhekaj bros a lot and their development curve. But to be able to have so many young players on our roster, so many promising young centers with Kaiden and Beck, and we got Waugh on the wing, and then we got Reinbacher, and we got Engstrom, we got Fowler in net. A guy like Florian, who some people have maybe at the bottom of their top 10 list of Habs prospects, is still one of these guys that I think is right there who could knock on the door of the NHL. Gone are the days of us, maybe if we get 1 or 2 of our top 10 prospects to make the NHL. Now, I think it'd be a surprise if, a bunch of them didn't make it. And to see the praise he's getting and what he's done with what he's been given, I honestly got to agree with it. And it's just another reason, Jesse, this group is special.
It really is, because we got players like Florian Xhekaj, Owen Beck, Oliver Kaiden, which look like they're ready to be in the NHL. But given our current lineup, it's going to be really tough to get in. And this is shaping up for an interesting training camp. You have to feel like Florian Xhekaj, he's in the gym right now, pumping with get ready. This guy's got it. And maybe that competitive edge, which will give him the advantage. But again, that's what's so exciting about this team right now is obviously there is just so much depth at a lot of positions. both in the NHL and at the AHL. So they're really going to need to prove like who's ready, because I really doubt that Florian's going to make the team out of camp. But do I absolutely see a world where there's an injury? He comes flying through that door as soon as it's open, and then you have to pry him off for dear life because he's going to hold on to that. Like,
I don't think it needs to be open, Jesse. I think he's going to slam right through it.
He is. And once he's getting in there, he's holding on for dear life. You know, you have to feel like, again, he's getting some advantages from his brother who's in his years. Get him those tips of really, you know, how to be a pro. What are going to be those special tips? And again, this hype here that we're seeing from Logan Mailloux, it matters. Why? Because this is a player, Logan Mailloux, that's training with him every single day in Laval. He's getting to see the ins and outs of what's going on. And it is crazy, the fact of his 24 goals that he scored, like, without any power play time. Like, and now we're talking, like, as crazy it sounds, like, it would be foolish not to give Florian Xhekaj some power play time the next year in the AHL, just of the way that he's really kind of developing right now. So again, you know, by the year he's had, he's put himself in a prime position to make the NHL. Now, was his work done? No, but because of that effort, that grit, that work ethic, that's so characteristic from the Xhekajs, I just have full confidence that this guy's just going to do everything he really needs to do and really, you know, help this team as a result, bring a little bit of that depth, that grit, that scoring. He's just bringing so many things that we like, which this is already such an exciting team. When you got players like Florian coming out of the woodwork, it's really what makes it truly special.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is. And like, hey, there's nothing wrong with letting a guy like him, especially a bigger guy who still needs to get his offensive skills honed in and maybe defensive skills, whatever. Like, he's still good, but like, it's not a bad thing to keep them in the AHL for a bit. I mean, really, the only problem you see with prospects spending too long in the AHL is if they get a little unhappy, and then you might have to move a guy that you don't have room with, you can't make room for. But a guy like Florian, like we saw with Arber, he might just become inevitable at some point. And like you said, Jesse, there's a lot of names to get through. I mean, right now, our projected like fourth line wings are Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher. So it's like tough. Like, you know, if you're Florian, what are you going to do? Hey, he did take face-off sometimes this season. He ran some center at some point. So you never know. Maybe if he improves on his face-off game this year, future 4C after Joe Valento's gone after this year, I don't know, right? I don't know what the plan is, but regardless, it's just beyond exciting. Leave your love for these boys down below. It's unreal what we're seeing, and it's just going to keep getting better somehow. I find it hard to believe, but it just keeps proving itself true. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, and if you're hyped for this season of Habs hockey, leave a like on the video. We appreciate every single one of you, especially those of you that stick around right to the end. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.